I am far beyond such concerns. This is Grandmaster Kane's response when Artemis Entreri suggests Kane had little trouble handling Charon's Claw, a sentient blade that devours the souls of almost everyone who touches it. Kane picks it up, examines it, and hands it back as if it were nothing more than a walking stick. Did you know that rasalvatore didn't create Grandmaster Kane? Kane started as an NPC character in an early Dungeons & Dragons module called Bloodstone Pass. In 1985, TSR published H1, the first in what would become the H series, adventures designed for high-level play. Written by Douglas Niles and Michael Dobson, the module included several pre-generated characters for players who wanted to jump straight into the action. One of those characters was Kane, a 16th level monk, follower of Ilmater, member of the Monastery of the Yellow Rose. 3 more adventures followed that featured Kane and his adventuring band Spy Song, the Mines of Bloodstone, the Bloodstone Wars, and the Throne of Bloodstone. Through all of these, Kane was a simple character. He had a stat block, a joystick, a flying carpet, and a single-paragraph backstory. 21 years later, rasalvatore brought Kane into his Sellswords trilogy. When I interviewed Bob, he talked about his love for the Bloodstone lands and how he'd originally wanted to set his novels there, and how the Sellswords series finally gave him the opportunity to go to the Bloodstone lands. It also gave him the chance to take characters like Kane and the other members of Spy Song, those original Douglas Niles characters, and develop them beyond their module origins. Bob has also spoken about his love for the 1970s television series Kung Fu, David Carradine's Kwai Chang Caine, the wandering Shaolin monk. You can see the influence throughout Kane's characterization, a soft-spoken ascetic who has transcended ego and violence even as he remains extraordinarily capable of both. Lore from the days of the Bloodstone Wars suggests Kane once fought 3 dragons at the Battle of Goliad, personally struck down the grandfather of assassins with his bare hands, and delivered the killing blow that ended Jingyi the Witch King. These feats alone would raise the status of any Faerunian adventurer to legend. But through the Legend of Drizzt, Kane's legacy grows much larger. Salvatore expands on the monk archetype through Kane's spiritual practice, incorruptible morality, and transcendence of mortal trappings. When Salvatore describes the monk in Road of the Patriarch, Kane is thin, wiry, and dressed in rags. His belt is a length of rough rope, his sandals are worn and threadbare, he carries a joystick, a simple walking staff carved from a branch of the White Tree, the magical ward that protects the Bloodstone lands from demonic incursion. Kane has taken a vow of poverty. He owns almost nothing. He refuses titles, wealth, and a permanent home. After the Bloodstone Wars, his companions became the ruling council of Damara, King Gareth Dragonsbane, Lady Christine, and the others. Kane remained a wanderer. He serves as the principal agent of Spy Song, Damara's intelligence network, traveling the harsh lands of Vasa on a magic carpet, gathering information and spending hours each day in deep meditation. Kane flies atop his carpet with his eyes closed. The joystick he carries is as hard as adamantine, capable of shattering stone, but it remains flawlessly white and polished. The dirt of no road can gray it. While Kane will eventually mentor Drizzt Do'Urden, it is Artemis Entreri who first faces him in the dungeons of King Gareth Dragonsbane. This happens in Road of the Patriarch after the chaos of the Sellswords adventures in Damara. Entreri finds himself caught up in political machinations he barely understands and doesn't particularly care about. Most of Gareth's court wants him executed or permanently imprisoned. Kane is one of the few voices arguing for his release. When Entreri confronts Gareth about the hypocrisy of his imprisonment, pointing out that the king himself rose to power through violence and that his closest allies have as much blood on their hands as he does, the court relents. Entreri's sentence is reduced to exile. It is Kane who returns both Entreri's jeweled dagger and Charon's claw, holding the ancient sentient weapon in his bare hands as though it were a mundane trinket. My respect for you multiplied many times over when I lifted your blade, Kane says. Few men could wield such a sword without being consumed by it. You seem to have little trouble picking it up, Entreri replies. I am far beyond such concerns. Charon's Claw is a weapon of ego. It tests will against will, dominance against dominance. Kane handles it without the slightest inconvenience. While Gareth and his court have agreed to allow Entreri to leave, there's a catch. Kane has struck him with the quivering palm, a precise strike that leaves a resonance in the victim's body, one the monk can trigger at will to induce paralysis or even death. Distance doesn't matter. The victim could be on another continent. The monk simply wills it, and it happens. Entreri will not accept this. He wants control over his own fate. The idea that someone else, anyone else, could kill him remotely at any moment is unbearable. So he calls Kane's bluff. With his weapons reacquired, Entreri strikes at Kane with lightning-fast speed. Kane intercepts even faster, but the vampiric dagger pricks Kane's palm, threatening to drain the monk's life force. If Kane wills it, Entreri dies, but if Entreri moves fast enough, they might both go down. For only a brief moment, Kane acknowledges the power of the dagger and then smiles and releases the hold. He lets the quivering palm dissolve, and he allows Entreri to walk truly free. There is a prequel short story by Salvatore called Body and Soul, which shows Kane's first experience with consciousness beyond the physical. During a confrontation at a tavern, Kane strikes unexplainably from across the room and kills a bandit threatening an innocent girl. Something else happens in that moment. Kane doesn't just throw his energy, he's there, spiritually, standing before his enemy. His body remains across the room, but his consciousness occupies the other space. I was there spiritually, standing before them, with a touch as substantial as if with my own hand, except that my hand was not there. This encounter pulls at Kane, calling him to further explore leaving the body. Later, we find him meditating on a mountain ledge, sitting in the cold, sinking deep into his own consciousness, and he dissolves. Kane's consciousness not only leaves his body, it fragments entirely. Salvatore describes it as becoming stardust, infinite pieces of awareness suddenly experiencing everything at once, the wind, the clouds, every living thing within perception, joined, and then slowly he reassembles, returns to the monastery, and resumes his life of practice and wandering. But something has shifted permanently. He now knows the seam exists between the physical and the spiritual, and that he can cross it. In another short story focused on Kane, State of Oneness, we get a look at a conversation with Kane and Sivan, the mistress of winter, where the Grandmaster tries to explain what he experiences during transcendence. He describes it as oneness with everything, a state of continual celebration and ecstasy. Every joy remains, taste, intimacy, wonder, but freed from the limitations of a single perspective. Sivan asks why he keeps coming back if it's that wonderful. Kane answers that he's not finished here just yet. There are still students to teach, still brothers and sisters at the monastery who might reach transcendence themselves. His purpose in the physical world hasn't ended. But there is an admission buried in his answer. Every time he transcends, the pull to stay grows stronger. Every return is a choice that one day he will not make. Kane knows this. He has chosen to remain here for now, for the sake of those who still need him, but it is only a matter of time. The next time we encounter Kane in the Legend of Drizzt, it is 1484 Del Reckoning, over a century and a quarter after the Bloodstone Wars. The world has moved on. Gareth's kingdom endures, but the men and women who built it are long dead. What remains of Kane's companions exists in monuments and histories. Kane himself exists in rumor, a ghost story told to young initiates a campfire legend about a Grandmaster who never quite died. And then a monk named Frindfair walks back through the gates of the Monastery of the Yellow Rose, repentant and lost, and discovers the legend is real. Kane appears impossibly old, skeletal beneath white robes, yet possessing a solidity that defies his frail appearance. Kane peers into Frindfair's soul, watching events from afar, and maintains presence in multiple places simultaneously. He gives Frindfair a diamond set on a silken cord, a phylactery that allows Kane to communicate telepathically, to walk within the monk's consciousness even when physically absent. Then Kane dissolves. His body shatters into cascading lights, settling to the floor before passing through it. During the War of the Silver Marches, as the Drow's magical shroud blocks the sunlight, Kane uses Frindfair as his vessel, turning his body into an unmatched weapon and opening his mind to the transcendence that is possible. By the time of the novel Hero, Drizzt Do'Urden is in crisis. Loth's manipulations have left him questioning whether his entire life, his choices, his relationships, his victories might be a fabrication, whether he himself is even real. Kane, now understood to be something beyond mortal, is among the few beings in Faerun capable of reaching him. Kane offers him a test. The Grandmaster explains the 4 elemental planes as the Order of the Yellow Rose understands them. Earth is the material world, your place in it, your outward morality. Air is the spiritual, your life energy contained in mortal form. Fire is the protection of the body, the martial arts. And water is thought, both flowing and still. Kane tells Drizzt he's mastered fire. His combat skills are as advanced as anyone at the monastery. But water? Drizzt has damned his personal water. Neither stillness nor flow exist within him. Drizzt challenges him, and Kane accepts. Drizzt uses everything in his 2 centuries of martial training and cannot so much as hit Kane. Kane ends it with a palm strike from across the room, invisible energy Drizzt can't see, block, or dodge, and it drops him to his knees. After knocking Drizzt unconscious, Kane says, "We have to save him. He has dedicated his entire existence to bettering himself and the world around him, and so he is a work of art, fine art, and we cannot let it be destroyed." Drizzt's training with Kane transforms his entire mindset and combat approach. He begins to practice daily, adapting Kane's mind-body training to his decades at Melee Magthair. He learns to send his consciousness into the earth, allowing him to harmlessly avoid magical spells that would have killed him before. But more than anything, this practice frees Drizzt from the demons of his past and the trappings of his own mind. In this way, it is Kane who saves Drizzt from an inevitable descent into madness. Whether Salvatore returns to him remains an open question, but there is something worth sitting with in what Kane represents beyond the power, beyond the legend. He has shed every motivation we typically assign to heroes, arrived at a place of complete stillness, complete liberation, and it's that freedom that allows him to help others. A being of pure selflessness, interacting with the world only on the world's behalf. What a radical concept for a hero. If you enjoyed today's exploration, give the video a like and let me know in the comments which characters you'd like to hear me cover next. If you want to see my custom 5e stat block for Grandmaster Kane and all the other characters from the Legend of Drizzt, join the Drow Historian Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for more lore from the Forgotten Realms and the Legend of Drizzt.